Hello, everybody. My name is Ziga, and I'm originally from Slovenia. Since 2018, I'm living in Germany, where I work with Naturkultur Das, which is an organization situated in Bremen. And I work as a logistics responsible for all of the youth exchanges and training courses that Naturkultur does. And I'm also responsible for managing a social enterprise from Naturkultur called Kulturhaus. I remember the first training course that I was working with Naturkultur, covering on-the-spot logistics and cooking for 40 plus people. It was very challenging for me as now that I'm looking back, because there was so many things to figure out, and I have never cooked for 40 people before. So at the end, the training course turned out really amazing, participants very happy about it, and us as a team also very proud. So if I'm looking back and trying to see which attitudes helped me to go through this experience and learn a lot from it, was that for us as a team, the failure was never an option. Like, even if we were faced with so many new situations, we knew that we can count on each other while we would be adapting to them. We all felt, and I felt, really responsible for taking care of the team and taking care of the whole team of participants as well. Cooperation was a huge thing. Being faithful that no matter what, we're going to make it. Being open-minded and accepting others for what they are, and trying to be caring towards others and towards myself as well. So that experience still holds a very special place in my heart. One time that I remember, I was faced with a major obstacle working with young people from European Solidarity Corps program, and it was very challenging to bring the work that I expected them to do forward to them and to get out any relevant output. I was struggling a lot during that time, trying to find different ways of how to approach the situation and the challenge. I really felt then that saying that you cannot teach people anything, you can just show them and allow them to discover it themselves. The attitudes that helped me go through that period was a lot of empathy, accepting others for what they are, trying new approaches, and never settling for giving up, being thoughtful towards others, and being also sincere in those situations. A lot of humbleness was practiced during that time as well. Thinking of a time or a situation where I wanted to give up, I cannot help but think of the last 8 months while struggling and fighting through this pandemic, which for me as a self-employed person proved to be very challenging. From time to time, I was thinking of giving up, or at least considering giving up. And what does that mean? The challenge was that the freedom of the self-employed person working in youth work and with young people is very noble, but at the same time, the freedom that it has, it really, in this kind of situation, it proves to be not safe as working in a company or for a really well-developed business. And I have decided not to quit, obviously, and I'm very happy about that. And it has been a very interesting process of self reflection. The attitudes that helped me go through this period was the feeling of the team that I'm working with is sticking together no matter what, and that the change is constant, and through these times huge personal growth is possible. So I became much more self-disciplined, considerate of the situation, and consider the people around me, much more realistic, and actually focused on what I want to do in order to get through this. When I'm asked to do something beyond my capabilities, at first, I doubt myself, of course. But as further away as the task that I accept is, like, easier is it for me to accept it. But when I struggle, the attitude that helps me go through that initial stage of not being able to do it or not being self-conscious about my capabilities, it always helps me when I have somebody next to me that motivates me just with a short sentence of I believe in you, or you can absolutely do this. Because a lot of times I believe I am my own worst critic, and sometimes my own worst consultant. So it really helps me to practice positive self-talk, which I have learned recently, and the attitude that everything is possible only if I manage to get to it. I have been definitely challenged by someone else's different attitudes than my own in the past, and I have a feeling that I am being challenged daily, um, either talking to a person in the store or on team meetings or on projects that we do in a group setting. And I believe that attitudes are like fields of energy that transcend into behaviors and are very small for the eye, but they make a big difference. For me, what I have learned about my attitudes and behaviors or other people's attitudes and behaviors is that we can affect each other with positive or negative attitudes, which means that we have the capability of bringing light to the room, as they say, or bringing negative energy or dim the room with energy. So if I have a person next to me that is compassionate, loving, involved, mature, cooperative, it is very likely that I will also adapt this kind of attitude towards things. But at the same time, if somebody has this negative attitude of being lazy, maybe cold, egocentric, these are the attitudes that can also affect me. So what I have noticed is I have to be very careful of what kind of attitude I bring to the room.